Let's take a step back and actually consider one thing most people in Washington agree on right now. Donald Trump's closer to impeachment tonight than he was last month or last year or really any other time. We know that from the whip count. Here's another thing most people agree on. That's not because of Bob Mueller or Nancy Pelosi, who'd long resisted this course. Donald Trump closer to impeachment right now because of this anonymous whistleblower who took a major risk working within the system and the law to warn his or her bosses in the Intelligence Department and ultimately Congress about this now exposed Ukraine plot. These leakers take major risks to their career or even more. And now, when you have a formal whistleblower like this, it's not a conventional leak. Because remember, he or she didn't even leak publicly to the press. He or she followed the rules in federal law. Now, other scandals and government misconduct have also been exposed by wider leaks. And there's a great debate over when it is acceptable to blow the whistle or leak. One of America's most famous leakers is, of course, Daniel Ellsberg. He upended the Vietnam War with the Pentagon Papers leak, which led to a landmark Supreme Court case that protected the right to publish certain leaks. So Ellsberg is, of course, a fitting person for us to consult tonight. I just spoke with him, and I want to play you some of what he said, including new remarks emphasizing how risky it is to challenge a president.
I nevertheless congratulate this whistleblower on the success that they've had so far in getting that information out and on the courage that she showed or he showed in taking this on. Even following the rules, to challenge a president for wrongdoing is not safe, either physically or legally. And I hope that the Democrats in Congress, in the House, will take every precaution to keep her identity or his identity secret from the president.
I asked Mr. Ellsberg about Donald Trump's actions and public threats against this whistleblower, including compared with other presidents.
I don't think any of the previous presidents put a target on the back of the whistleblower, calling to armed and violent constituents, in some cases, to say that that person should be treated before trial, before due process, anything else, as a spy or a traitor. He is calling for physical attack, I would say. I think that's an impeachable offense or a criminal offense in itself.
An impeachable or criminal offense. Very interesting coming from someone who's been through these issues to the point of creating precedents that remain to this day. Now, as part of our reporting here, as we dig into this, we also want to point out that, of course, many leakers pay huge penalties. Consider a former CIA employee who has all kinds of experience here, named John Kiriakou. Now, he served in operations pursuing terrorists. He also publicly discussed tactics like torture and waterboarding, and then was convicted later of providing the identity of an undercover officer to a journalist who ultimately, we should note, didn't publish the name. Now, Mr. Kiriakou spent almost 2 years in jail for that offense as a leaker. Now, I spoke with him. This is new, airing for the first time. And he said what he thinks about Donald Trump calling the whistleblower a spy and how dangerous it is.
This is a very, very dangerous thing that he's doing. When I blew the whistle on the CIA's torture program, I got what the FBI called 3 credible death threats. And I actually had to take my family and leave town for a week. So when you have the President of the United States joking, maybe not joking, about death penalty offenses for someone reporting waste, fraud, abuse, or illegality, I think that's a very dangerous tack to take.
Very dangerous. And that's coming from someone who's paid a price for leaking, to be sure. Now, House Democrats are going to extra lengths to protect this whistleblower's identity from what they say are Trump's Republican allies who might try to expose these whistleblowers. So it's a lot of context here for these threats. Now, I also asked Kiriakou if whistleblowers today need to worry about retaliation. Do you think they, in this climate, have to worry about being improperly charged?
I do think they have to worry, and I think that it's improper and inappropriate that they have to worry. If you see any of that fraud or illegality, you are compelled by law and by your oath to go to the authorities. Any whistleblower or potential whistleblower really does have to take into account that this whole thing may fall apart and you may find yourself behind bars, even if you believe you did the right thing.
You could find yourself behind bars. whatever you think of why people do these things, that may be chilling for people in government. But that's not really the dark note that we end on, having consulted some of these very famous people who've been in these fights, who've made these hard calls, who didn't know how it was going to turn out. I want to leave you with something that Daniel Ellsberg also told me tonight. It's his advice for people in government right now who might be concerned about President Trump's ongoing conduct. What do you, Daniel Ellsberg, say to these now 2 whistleblowers out there tonight?
I congratulate them. What I'd like to speak to is the people who, like me, kept their mouths shut when they knew that the president was doing wrong. I learned better once I was in Vietnam and I actually experienced a war up close.
Do you think there are others?
The stakes are.
Do you think there are others inside the Trump administration?
I'm absolutely sure. For one thing, the whistleblower revealed that there were more than a dozen people on that program, on that call. And this president is turning out to be a domestic enemy of the Constitution. Every one of them should be a whistleblower right now, and it's not too late.
Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that.